With the barefoot shoe industry growing every year and slated to reach an almost $1 billion industry by the end of the decade, more brands are coming out with more styles of shoes for people transitioning from conventional shoes, and for those of us that have been wearing barefoot shoes for years. The only real problem with barefoot shoes is transitioning to them. And by the end of this video, I'll prove to you that transitioning to barefoot shoes is no joke. Seriously. I'll also offer some personal tips I learned while transitioning to barefoot shoes. I've been wearing barefoot shoes for 10 years now, and today I'm going to tell you about some pretty serious problems with them, even as a huge fan of barefoot shoes for over a decade. For some background, when I transitioned to barefoot and minimal style shoes, I'd been working in metal shops for years and developing really painful bunions from wearing steel toe boots all day. At the time, I was also an avid climber. I've always climbed trees and stuff since I was young, and this will be an important factor later on in this video. My transition to barefoot shoes went really smoothly, except for how I had to relearn how to walk on the hard concrete sidewalks of New York City. I eventually invested in a pair of Ultras to wear on days when my feet were particularly tired and beat, because it was just easier to walk on concrete in shoes that have a little bit of foam, or a lot of foam. And just really quick, I'm just a regular, everyday, normal person trying to make sense out of things. This is just my experience, and your mileage may vary significantly. Please annihilate the like button to help the channel out with the algorithm.
Come on. Do it. Do it!
It's a huge struggle these days, so I'm really grateful for all the help. Now, back to the video. Flash forward to today, I'm pretty much only wearing barefoot shoes with thin soles, even on concrete and even during the wintertime. After a while, your feet just adjust to the hardness and temperatures of the surfaces you're walking on, or at least that's been my experience. But here's the problem. Even after 10 years, just last month, I f***ed up. I bought a pair of Xero sandals that probably have the thinnest soles out of any of the shoes I've ever owned. And they were so comfortable right out of the box that I immediately wore them every day, no matter what. In downpours, on scorching hot days, hiking in the woods, grocery shopping. Every day I was wearing them. But then something happened after about a month of wearing only these sandals.
Please just tell me what's happening to me in plain English without the mumbo jumbo.
I started getting severe knee pain on the outside of my left knee. At first I thought it was me getting older, so I wore the sandals for a couple more weeks after buying a knee brace, and then it dawned on me. Over 10 years of wearing barefoot shoes, I always alternated shoes whenever I got a new pair. But not this time. The next week, I went back to my normal shoes, which are these Vivo Barefoots. And after a few days, the knee pain went away pretty much completely. I could walk pain-free and use the stairs without the knee brace. Everything was good. Since then, I've been alternating shoes to sandals every 2 to 3 days or so. But even when I bought my first pair of barefoot shoes 10 years ago, I never had any problems like this at all. So I was like, what the f***? Why now? Like, what's going on? And this is why, as barefoot shoes become a $1 billion industry, we need to talk about transitioning from conventional shoes to barefoot shoes. A big problem that's often talked about is how the raised heel of our conventional shoes actually shortens the length of our calves and tightens the Achilles tendon because of this. This means that if you've never worn barefoot shoes before and you transition too fast, you run the risk of injuring your calf muscle or Achilles tendon or something else, especially if you exercise or try to run a marathon in your brand new barefoot shoes. Personally, my transition was really smooth. I think that because for most of my life I already wore flat shoes like Vans while I was skateboarding or BMX biking, and I climbed trees all the time as a kid. And then later on in my life, I went to the climbing gym every day of the week. My calves and Achilles tendons were already pretty stretched out, so they were fine. But if you don't do these kinds of activities, then you should be extra careful while transitioning to barefoot shoes. My huge mistake was loving my new sandals so much this summer that I thought I could just wear them right away every single day with no risk at all. I can't stress this enough. Do not do this. My knee literally felt like it was about to bend the opposite direction with every step I took after wearing these for about a month and a half without a transition period. And with all that said, barefoot shoes really have, in general, helped my feet, ankles, knees, and lower back. They take some time to get used to, but they're definitely worth transitioning to. And here's the part where I give you some pointers for transitioning if you decide to try barefoot shoes yourself. Number 1 is by far, take it slow. It might be more expensive, but buying a barefoot shoe with a thicker sole first is better than getting injured and needing to shell out money for physical therapy or something else to recover. And this is how I transitioned. I started off with a pair of Lem's Boulder boots, which don't have as much cushion as like a pair of Altras, but they're really comfortable and they still allow you to feel a lot more of the ground and other surfaces you're walking on than most other shoes, and definitely more than all other boots that are currently offered. Starting off with the Boulder boots definitely minimized my chance of getting injured. Number 2 is buy the right size shoe. This is hard because it's up to personal preference. I find that I now wear a size bigger than what I thought I was. For years in like running shoes and even in some boots, I wore a size 9, but now in most barefoot shoe brands, I'm a solid size 10. Take the time to find the right size, and if you can, I really recommend ordering a couple different sizes to try at home, and then you just return the ones that are too big or too small. Number 3 is sort of a personal preference as well, and that's don't tie your shoes too tightly. For me, if I tie my shoes or tighten my sandals too tightly, I find that it restricts my ankle movement and stability, and even after walking just a couple hours in shoes that are too tight, I can feel it in my ankles and sometimes in my knees, but more so in my ankles. And number 4 is don't get discouraged. Transitioning to barefoot shoes takes time and a lot of effort, but in the end, for a lot of people, it's worth it. I've had back problems since I was a teen, and switching to barefoot shoes has helped a lot. I think that my most recent problems with the sandals didn't really have anything to do with the thin soles of the shoes or sandals, but rather how the lacing system positions the foot for these particular sandals. I think this is the problem because I had a pair of Luna sandals a few years ago that never gave me any trouble, but they have a more structured lacing system that kind of keeps your foot closer to the sole of the sandal. And if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy content like this, I cover topics ranging from diet, health, science, energy, and how I think all of these actually relate to each other in our everyday lives. Give this video a like if you like it, a dislike if you don't. Consider subscribing to keep up to date with future videos. I think it's incredibly important to have open conversations about pretty much everything and to have healthy disagreements so we can all learn to work together. Maybe barefoot shoes are the way to go for most people, maybe they're not. Let me know in the comments below if you've ever tried barefoot shoes, if they've helped you, or if you think the whole thing is a fad. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.